It all comes down to the next 30 minutes. The season championships are next on Quiz Kids.
It's the Bay Area Quiz Kids. And now, the best host on the West Coast, Brad Friedman.
Thank you. Welcome to our season finale. And I've got two amazing teams here today. First of all, last week they beat the Mountain View team and are here for our championship. Let's say hi to the Bellarmine Bells. And they are going to face the season's top scoring team with 2 wins and an amazing total score of 1,835 points. Say hello to the Menlo School Knights. Okay, gentlemen, welcome. Let's sweep those points away. Let's begin with the first 3 for all. I will ask you a 5-point toss-up question. If you get the answer right, your team will get a second question worth 10 points, and you could move to a third question worth 25 points. Good luck to both teams. Here's your first toss-up. Landlord, official, outlaw. Tory, the name for a member of Britain's... Yes, Samir?
Official?
No. The name for a member of Britain's Conservative Party comes from an old Irish word for what?
Outlaw. Outlaw?
That's right. American Tories didn't just exist during the Revolutionary War. During the Texas Revolution, Texas Tories were supporters of what country?
Mexico. Mexico?
Correct. What 2-word term for political conservatives comes from their seating position in the 1789 French Parliament?
Right wing. Right wing?
You got 25 points. Next toss-up, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Which state's name appears twice on a classic Monopoly board? Samir?
Pennsylvania?
Correct. A classic PBS Kids series that teaches reading shares its name with which Monopoly utility?
Community.
Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow?
No, the Electric Company. Founders Day, Forefathers Day, Pilgrim Day. To commemorate the landing of the Mayflower, yes, Samir?
Pilgrim Day?
No. Some New Englanders celebrate what holiday on December 21st?
Founders Day?
Forefathers Day.
Okay.
Colonial rule, polygamy, slavery. Brazil's Golden Law of Samir?
Slavery?
Yes, the Golden Law of 1888 abolished slavery. Perhaps because of all the new rubber money, which Amazonian city was called one of the gaudiest cities of the world in the late 19th century?
Rubber, so that's in maybe like Amazonia, Rio, Sao Paulo, maybe? Sao Paulo?
No, I may mispronounce it, Manaus. Colorado, New Mexico, Utah. If I wanted to break the land speed record, I might head to which states, John?
New Mexico?
No, which state's Bonneville Salt Flats?
Utah. Utah?
Correct. The Salt Flats are located west of what inland body of water?
Great Salt Lake. Great Salt Lake.
Correct. Bonneville Dam isn't on the Salt Lake. It isn't even in Utah. Instead, it spans which river that's also impounded by the Grand Coulee?
Columbia? Columbia?
You got 25 points. Ektachrome, Kodachrome, Polychrome, which isn't a film product, but rather a sculpture painted, yes, here.
Ektachrome?
No, but rather a sculpture painted in many colors.
Polychrome. Polychrome?
Correct. Because of their over-the-top garish colors, what name was given to San Francisco Victorian houses that featured polychrome facades?
Colored houses?
No, they're called the Painted Ladies. Oh. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. All 3 countries were long dominated by Russia, which became independent in 1991 and has Tallinn as its capital. Here.
Estonia?
Right. It's no BS that these 3 countries are known as what states named for the sea on their west coast?
Baltic states?
Correct. Kaliningrad on the Baltic Sea is a Russian exclave completely surrounded by Lithuania and what other former Eastern Bloc nation?
Poland? Poland, probably.
Poland, yeah.
Poland?
You got 25 points. Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Mary Poppins. All 3 Disney films are now Broadway musicals. Which one features a singing teapot? Here.
Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, I'll give it to you. In which Broadway musical does a masked man kidnap a rising prima donna from a Paris theater?
That's Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera.
Correct. In which classic musical does a con man plan to dupe a small town into buying musical instruments, but then falls for the town's librarian?
Fiddler on the Roof.
Maybe. I don't know. Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh my gosh. No, it's The Music Man. We're all snickering in the audience here. Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela. The southern portion of the Choco rainforest is found in this country. Which South American nation includes the Andean volcano? Yes, Samir.
Ecuador.
Right. Pichincha rises from the western suburbs of what city that's also Ecuador's capital?
Quito.
Right. The archipelago de Colón is the official name of which Ecuadorian island group, home to giant tortoises and an adaptive radiation of finches?
Galapagos Islands.
Correct for 25 points. Carter, Clinton, Reagan. Who appointed the first female Secretary of State? Samir?
Clinton.
Yes. Who was she?
Albright. Albright.
Right. Before she was Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright was a professor of international affairs at which D.C. university?
Georgetown.
You got 25 points. That is the end of the round. We have a score of 55 to 95. We'll be right back. Don't go away. This season's top two teams could not have come this far without the guidance and support of two terrific coaches. Let's give a hand to, first, the Bellarmine coach, Mr. Chris Fleetus. And the Menlo coach, Mr. Richard Steinberg. Thank you, gentlemen. You've made this an exciting season. Okay, for this final match, we're going to skip right to the next 3-for-all. So the toss-ups are worth 10 points. Subsequent questions have values of 25 and 50 points. Good luck, you guys. Here we go. Gone with the Wind, Of Mice and Men, and The Wizard of Oz. Believe It, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Yep.
Gone with the Wind.
Yes, F. Scott Fitzgerald was an uncredited screenwriter on Gone with the Wind. In the latest film version of The Great Gatsby, Leonardo DiCaprio plays the title role. Who played Gatsby in the 1974 film?
1974. Gregory Peck or something. I don't know. Gregory Peck.
No, my lookalike, Robert Redford. Grover Cleveland, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft. As presidents, they were all heavyweights. While attending Harvard, who was runner-up for the campus lightweight boxing championship? John.
Roosevelt.
Yes. In 1833, which other future president was named postmaster of New Salem, Illinois?
No, that's Abraham.
Postmaster.
Yeah,
Lincoln.
Yeah, I just love watching you guys do that thing you do. And in 1935, which future president was appointed director of the National Youth Administration in Texas?
Texas.
LBJ.
LBJ.
LBJ's.
LBJ.
You got 50 points. Caries, decay, fusion. When I go to the dentist, I might remember what term for the spontaneous disintegration. Yes, yep.
Decay.
Yes, the spontaneous disintegration of radioactive material is decay. Which Bay Area university has more than a mile-long linear accelerator?
Stanford.
Good. In physics, what's the term for quarks that are neither up nor down?
Strange.
How true. 50 points. Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro. In the 1990s, Yugoslavia split up. Samir?
Serbia.
No. In which former Yugoslav republic will you find the city of Split?
Croatia.
Correct. It appears near the bottom of an alphabetical list of world capitals. What city became the capital of Croatia?
Zagreb.
Correct. Cruella de Vil might know that Split and Dubrovnik lie along what Adriatic coast?
Adriatic coast. Illyria.
It would have helped if you knew that Cruella de Vil made coats out of Dalmatians.
Oh, Dalmatians.
The Dalmatian coast. Fickle fries, freedom fries, and frog fries. Yummy. A decade ago, when some members of Congress... Sean?
Freedom fries.
Yes, the new side dish that appeared on the Capitol menu. Following the renaming of these fries. The French ambassador said this was a non-issue because French fries originally actually originated in what neighboring country?
Belgium.
Correct. Of course, if you go to France, you won't find French fries on the menu because they're called what?
Frites. Frites.
Say it.
Frites.
Frites.
Well, give me the whole thing.
Different.
Frites.
Yeah, pommes frites is right.
Yeah.
Let him Dr. French. 50
Yeah.
points. Kenya, South Africa, Zaire. The nation of Lesotho is, yes, Hidehiro.
South Africa.
Right. What do geographers call a country that is completely surrounded by another country?
Landlocked. Or
No, it's an enclave.
enclave. Yeah. Shoot.
Acetic acid, hydrochloric acid, nitric acid. Also called ethanoic acid. Yes, Hidehiro.
Acetic acid.
Correct. The word vinegar comes from the Old French vinaigre, meaning what kind of wine?
Sour. Yeah, sour. Sour.
Right. What is the dark, highly aged vinegar that's the product of years of aging in a successive number of casks made of various types of wood?
Balsamic.
Balsamic.
Good on salads and good for 50 points. Washington Irving, Cotton Mather, Clement Moore. He used the pseudonym Dietrich. Yes, Samir.
Washington Irving.
Yes. Which Irving titled character slept through the entire American Revolution?
Rip Van Winkle.
Right. Irving's non-fictional works include a 5-volume biography of which president, who was also the subject of a notorious book by Parson Weems?
Oh, George Washington.
That's right, for 50 points. I believe it. I found it. I see it. What's the meaning of the one word on the California? Yes, Sean.
I found it.
Correct. Eureka means I found it. Eureka is the leading city of which California county?
Inyo.
Humboldt County.
Humboldt.
Ampere, joule, Newton. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders. Sean.
Newton.
Correct. The last name of the standard's SI unit for force is a Newton. The SI unit for electrical charge is named for which 19th century Englishman?
Charge is Coulomb. Wait. Yeah, Coulomb.
Faraday. The king, the prince, the pope. Is it better to be feared or to be loved? Hidehiro.
The Prince.
Right. The Machiavelli political masterpiece, The Prince. Which second president praised Machiavelli as a philosophic defender of mixed government?
Adams.
Right. Historians believe Adams' greatest legacy was his naming of which 4th Chief Justice of the Supreme Court?
Marshall.
You got 50 points. Kenya, South Africa, Zimbabwe. Which country's currency is the rand? Hidehiro.
South Africa.
Right. The current president of South Africa is which Zulu polygamist elected in 2009?
Jacob.
It starts with a Z.
Jacob's.
Is Zuma. Jacob Zuma.
Okay.
Edison, Marconi, Westinghouse. Which inventor is credited with developing the carbon microphone? Samir?
Marconi.
No. And the kinetoscope.
Edison.
Edison.
Right. Edison's Menlo Park isn't in California, but in what eastern state?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Correct. By the 1920s, Edison had moved away from Menlo Park. Which industrialist secured the Menlo Park laboratories and moved them to Dearborn, Michigan?
Ford.
You got 50 points. And that is the end of the round. 320 for Menlo. Bellarmine has 255. We will crown a champion after these messages. Before we get into our final round, we have to take care of a little business here. Menlo always asked a question about amperes, joules, and newtons. When we came to the second question, they said Faraday, and our producers decided they will give them the points for Faraday. So we're raising from 10 points to 25, and that gives you the opportunity to earn 50 points with the third question. So let me quickly ask you that question. The SI unit for electric potential is named for which Italian scientist known for making frog legs jump?
Volta.
You got 50 points. And does that put you at 360? Yeah. Okay, 360 to 255, and we are now going to go into our final round. Let me get the questions. It's a 3-minute round. We'll put 3 minutes on the clock. The questions are worth 30 points, and this will determine the championship for the 2012-2013 season of Quiz Kids. Good luck to both teams. A San Diego hotel is named for him. Which Spanish explorer debunked the legend of the 7 cities of gold? Hidehiro.
Coronado.
Right. The last time they were seen, Bill Clinton was president. What insects are about to invade the mid-Atlantic state? Yes, Christopher.
Cicadas.
Correct. The War of the League of Augsburg was directed against the territorial expansionist goals of what French monarch? Hidehiro.
Louis XIV.
Correct. When technology firms started replacing orchards, Santa Clara's Valley of Heart's Delight took on what other nickname? John.
Silicon Valley.
Right. What term for plain sparkling water is derived from the name of a German town known for its mineral springs? Seltzer. Although better known for innovative early childhood education, who was the first woman to earn a medical degree in Italy? Yes, Samir.
Blackwell.
No, you can steal.
Montessori.
Right. Acetone can be produced from 2-propanol in what type of general reaction in which a species loses hydrogen atoms? John.
Evaporation.
No, you can steal.
Reduction. Reduction.
Oxidation.
Oxidation.
The main symptom of pleurisy is a sharp or stabbing pain in the chest. Which organs are affected by pleurisy? Hidehiro.
Lungs.
Yes. In mythology, whose resume included acquiring the Amazon Queen's belt? Yes, Hidehiro.
Hercules.
Right. It has coins, cups, wands, and swords. What fortune-telling device is divided into? Yes, Sean.
Tarot.
Right. He serves as the only president of the Republic of Hawaii. Who's? Yes, Samir.
Duel.
That's right. Computed across a set of numbers, what statistic represents the most frequently occurring number? John.
Mode.
Right. It was officially created in 1849. Which cabinet department oversees federal lands? John.
Interior.
Correct. His screen credits include Moulin Rouge. Which? Yes, Hidehiro.
Luhrmann.
Yes. Which Eastern Bloc nation started the fall of the Iron Curtain by opening? Yes, Samir.
Czechoslovakia.
No, opening its border to Austria.
Hungary. Hungary.
Correct. A port city in South Carolina and the state capital of West Virginia. Yes, Samir.
Charleston.
Right. A genocide conviction was handed down to Efren Rios Montt, a former ruler. Yes, Samir.
Guatemala.
Yes. Name the effect where a wave shifts frequency due to the. Yes, Hidehiro.
Doppler.
Yeah. Yes. A breed of what Canadian waterfowl are sometimes called honkers? Yes, Hidehiro.
Loon.
No, you can steal.
Trumpeter swan.
Trumpeter swan.
No, geese. Which Broadway musical character is the daughter of Melina Thropp and the Wizard of Oz? John.
Wicked.
I need the name of the character. You can steal.
Elphaba.
Right.
Okay.
What weapon does one associate with Edward I, Charles Martel, and Thor? Hidehiro.
Hammer.
Right. What is the shiny name of the inlet on the Bosphorus north of the old Istanbul? Hidehiro.
Golden Horn.
Yes. What is the name of the Japanese equivalent of the Dow Jones Industrial Average? Yes, Hidehiro.
Nikkei.
Yes. What phenomenon which sees light bend as it crosses a boundary? Yes, Samir.
Diffraction.
No, it's not. And that is the end of the game with 780. Menlo are the season champions. We will be back to present prizes to our winners and some last words after these messages. What an exciting game. Congratulations to Bellarmine on their second place for the season. I would like to introduce the gentleman who will present you with your prize. It is Bill Price from the Knights Templar.
Thank you, Brad. I just want to congratulate both teams on a phenomenal contest. And you guys did a great job. And it's a pleasure to be here on Quiz Kids that displays just how important and how great our youth is today, and how we have nothing to worry about for the future. So on behalf of, it's in here somewhere, on behalf of Golden Gate Commandery number 16, Knights Templar, I would like to present you with your second place prizes. And if you could mail these in, we will send you your prize. And no, that's it. I've got something for him too. And sometimes we forget just how much the coaches give to this group of young men. Their time that they volunteer. We would like to also give you a stipend and our appreciation for your dedication. Thank you very much.
Bill, would you pass that mic over to the team captain, Samir Rai? I'm sure he has some things to say.
Thank you. On behalf of our entire team, I would like to thank Peninsula TV, Cron 4, the San Mateo Credit Union, Burlingame Scottish Rite, Knights Templar, and the host Brad Friedman, as well as all the various other sponsors. And on top of that, I'd like to thank our wonderful coach, Mr. Fleetus, and our friends and family for supporting us, as well as to our teachers who have taught us so much over the years. So thank you to everyone.
And now I would like to congratulate the Menlo team for being our championships. You guys have been phenomenal players all season. And here to present you with your first place prize is Dr. Chris Smith and Lee Porupski from the Burlingame Scottish Rite.
Well, it's a real pleasure being here again and seeing both of these teams do a great job as usual. I feel pretty good about myself because I knew a couple more of the answers this time than I did previously, so I'm doing all right. So I'd like to present to each of you another envelope. Same deal. Fill in the blanks and send it in, and you'll get your prizes if you could just pass those on. And again, thanks to the Quiz Kids for showcasing this youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Pass this on. Are you a senior? Junior?
Yes.
Okay, well, we've got another year of Hidahiro,
Yes.
but first let's get some words from Hidahiro, the captain.
Okay. I would like to thank Peninsula TV and Cron 4 for airing this awesome show. I would like to thank San Mateo Credit Union, Burlingame Scottish Rite, and the Knights Templar for sponsoring this show. I would also like to thank the host, Brad Friedman, for being an amazing host. And I would like to thank our parents for our continual support. And lastly, I would like to thank Mr. Steinberg, our coach, and the rest of our trivia club for being there for us.
Well, again, thank you to both teams for creating a great season. And last but not least, the big boss of it all, the CEO of Peninsula TV, Mr. Mark Naismith.
Thank you very much. Peninsula Television has had the distinct pleasure of being involved with this wonderful programming for 14 years, and I thank you all for participating in all the schools and for thanking all the people that make this happen. It's a great collaboration, and they all deserve our admiration and thanks. So really appreciate it, and we'll look forward to seeing you for year 15 next year. Bye.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks all of you for helping us make this a great season. On behalf of everyone behind the camera and myself, we'll see you in season 15. Bye-bye.